Hey folks, this is Eric Walls, field agronomist with Sun Ag. It's been a broken record for the past week. We've been getting more rain and we're seeing ponding and more loss of stand. So since we're not going to be in the fields, we really have three questions we need to get answered. First, we need to decide what rates of herbicides we're going to use. Is it going to be worth to replant the areas that are ponded out right now? And finally, a decision that needs to be made by Saturday: beef or pork? So getting some questions and seeing soybeans that are starting to die in fields locally. We are starting to flower, so we're in the R1 growth stage now. Even the plants that are not healthy looking, they're also flowering. So it's plants haven't been set back much yet, but they're starting to die back. So we're on a headland, so this is usually an area of higher traffic. So we got some compaction taking place, so we see that. Other things that might be involved would be like soil pH might be too high or too low, which affects nutrient uptake or availability. So that may be taking place. May have a herbicide stress, and finally may have insect pressure that's been feeding on it. So if we look at the graph and the conditions that are needed for some of these diseases to be present, we can see that we've hit a lot of these conditions, all four to be exact. Right now I'm leaning towards the conditions of warm and wet and cool and wet for Phytophthora and Fusarium. We're going to start with Phytophthora root rot. It's actually not a fungus; it's a water mold, and it prefers soil moisture, or it prefers soil temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees. And this disease can persist in your soil between 5 and 10 years. Unfortunately, this disease can infect a plant at any growth stage throughout the season. And it does take some time. So for a disease to set up in your field, you need the host, which would be the soybean, you need the pathogen, you need the right environment, and then we need time. So it's likely that this disease did not just start last week. With time, the disease will eventually take hold in that plant and we'll see these symptoms. Unfortunately, it looks like these plants are going to succumb to it and die. So ways we can manage Phytophthora root rot: we can select soybean varieties that are more tolerant or resistant to it. There are several races out there, so let's use that as our first line of defense. Second, we can use seed treatments, particularly one that contains mefenoxam. Sun Ag's seed treatment, the SunShield Apex and the SunShield Protect, both contain seed treatments with mefenoxam in it. One thing to know about the seed treatments, though, they're really only going to last up to 3 weeks. We're way past that point, and we've had conditions that have allowed Phytophthora or Fusarium to take hold and enter these plants. So the second disease we want to talk about is Fusarium root rot and stem wilt. Pretty indicative of this disease, above ground anyway, is the wilting of leaves or stem tips. So we can see some of that out here where the stem tip, the growing points have bent over. Also, you'll have the brown stem, vascular tissue will be brown, and any of the root rot symptoms will remain below the soil line. So ways we can manage Fusarium root rot and stem wilt: we can use seed treatments which contain Saltro, which again Sun Ag uses with their SunShield Apex and the SunShield Protect. Unfortunately, we don't have resistance or tolerance in any of the soybean varieties, so that's not an option. But a grower can plant later or into conditions that are not cool and wet in the spring. So the final soybean disease I want to talk about today is soybean white mold. And this is a disease that can enter the plant through senescing flowers, which we're already seeing. Soybean white mold is a disease that prefers cool, wet weather, high humidity. We're experiencing that now, so we've had plenty of moisture. It's cool again. Ways to manage soybean white mold: 30-inch rows are a good way to keep airflow. So micro environments that encourage, the cool wet, such as narrow rows, should be avoided if you have fields that are prone to soybean white mold. Fungicide treatments, you can. I personally use Viatude from Corteva, and I use heads up seed treatment to give me a few extra bushels as well at a pretty economical price. Other ways you can manage the soybean white mold in your fields is to rotate away from beans and go to a grass crop such as corn or even wheat. So with another round of heavy rains in our area, we're looking at ponding in soybean and corn fields. It's obviously too late to replant corn, but there's still the option of putting some soybeans out there. If you're not able to put soybeans out there, I'd probably encourage you to maybe look at cover crops, specifically ones that maybe have a fibrous root system to them that can break up some of that compaction that ponding is going to leave in that field. So additionally, with cover crops, since it's growing out there, it's actively pulling moisture out of the soil. So if you have areas that are ponded, this is another way to kind of help them drain out naturally, and maybe look at some cover crops that have some tap roots as well to get down deeper. If you have tile in that area, maybe that can help create more channels to that tile to get that water out of there faster. It's not going to be a short-term fix, but long-term, using cover crops in ponded areas is a good solution to help dry them out a little bit better. Just a few more things to address this week. Weeds keep growing, obviously. So I would recommend you get that garden hoe or that corn hook out and get it sharpened up. See if you can find some able-bodied high school aged kids to get out there and help you. But there could be some messes this year that herbicides aren't going to be able to take care of. So just know that bean walking is probably going to be in your foreseeable future. And finally, let's talk about the GDUs for the coming week. We are trending backwards now. We had been the other way. We've been with the heat we had in the latter part of May and early June. But this coming week, we're going to have about 120 GDUs. So corn that's less than V10 is only going to grow about 2 leaves, or a leaf and a half to 2 leaves. If you're above V10, you're going to grow over 2 leaves. So that corn's moving along. Yeah, so if we look out 2 weeks, only have about 268 GDUs forecasted, which is again below average. So we're losing about 50 GDUs behind each week in the coming weeks. So, all right, well, thanks for joining us this week on the Fieldside Chats. Happy Father's Day, and we have something else to look forward to this weekend. If you like fishing, there's free fishing in Illinois, the 19th to the 22nd. And for my choice, I went with the pork chops. I love my pork chops. We'll see you next time.